Good morning, guys. Today I'm going to show you how to replace the heater fan on Merc SLK280, model code R171. Here is the fan. That's the new one I bought, and this is exactly the part we're going to be replacing on the car today. Okay, so the fan is located underneath the glove box, and to get access to it we need to remove the cover, which is located just here. There are 3 screws that holds all that together. There's one here, the first one, the second one here, and then the third one further down the back, here, exactly here. And to remove those screws, all you need is a hex driver. I'm just trying to figure this out. There it is. So that's the driver you need. I think it's called Star driver, to be precise, but that's what you need. So I'm gonna come back to you once I remove those screws before we move the panel. We have all 3 screws removed now. They are just here. Make sure you don't lose them. Just put them somewhere safe. One thing I haven't mentioned yet is that the best thing you should do now is to remove the carpet, because that's going to give you more access before you start removing the panels. So I'm going to get rid of the carpet now and again come back to you. So now, once we have all the screws removed, we're going to attempt to remove the panel here. Now, a few things you need to know. First of all, there are no more screws that are holding the panel here, but as you can see, there is a 12-volt socket here which is attached to the panel, and there's no way you can remove it from there. It has to stay attached, and this socket is hardwired to the car at the back of the panel. So no matter what, do not pull this panel too hard at first, because you may just rip off the cable on the other side, and if that happens, well, there's a whole new raft of work that needs to happen afterwards. So let's try to avoid that. Now, removing the panel is not that difficult, although it's quite a fiddly work, but I found a way to do it quite quickly. First thing you need to do is to remove a clip which sits just here, exactly here. And to do that, I suggest you put your hand here and slowly, gently, there you go. See, that's the clip I'm talking about, right? So that's what's holding the panel in this corner here. Now when you remove that, this panel becomes quite loose. You can move it down, and here you can see you have the cables attached to the socket. That's why I'm saying do not hold it, do not pull it too hard, because otherwise you will be ripping off the cables. Okay, so what do we do next? Well, I need two hands, both hands, to do that. So I'm going to pause the video now just to unclick the cable, the panel from here, to move it down, and then show you what to do next. Right, one more thing that you may want to do to make your life easier when you try to remove the panel, which I forgot about at the beginning, is to remove the carpet from the back. Just fold it back down. Okay. Once you do that, you get more access to the back of the car. So I managed to pull the panel out. Like I said, it's a fiddly job to do, but it's doable. If you do it gently and slowly, you can manage to do that. Now, where we are is this. The panel is out, but it's still attached by the cable here. Now, technically, you may want to leave it like that, but it will give you quite difficult access to this part here. This is where the fan is located, just here. We need to remove this entire cover from underneath to replace the fan. And as you can tell with this panel here, the access is quite difficult. So we'll disconnect this cable from the back, so we can remove the entire panel. And there's a trick to do it. So here is the plug. Now, I found another video on YouTube where someone was kind enough to show how to remove this plug, and the whole trick is to slide this part of the plug that way. You don't want to pull it that way. This is wrong. You're not going to do anything. You want to take just this little part here and slide it out that way. So 90 degrees to your right. And we'll do this right now. Well, I'm going to need both hands. I'm going to remove the plug and come back to you once it's done and show you what's the right position for it. So I'm going to pause for a second. Okay, I'm back. I managed to disconnect the plug. So this is how the back of the 12-volt socket look like. So as I told you, the plug is connected 90 degrees towards the socket. Here's the plug itself, and I will show you how it goes back in without pushing this all the way through, just so you can get the idea how this is attached. So this plug here goes right down here. Okay, I'm not pushing this all the way through. I don't want to remove it again, but this is how the plug goes in. There are no screws, nothing that you have to unplug before you pull the plug out. All you need to do is to hold the socket pretty firm so it doesn't wiggle around. You don't want to break it, and then with your second hand you just want to take this plug out upwards. In this case, that's it. It will click out and the job will be done. So that's where we are. So there's no unplugged. I can remove this whole panel out. And now we have access to this area here. Just to put everything in perspective, this is the new fan that we're gonna install, and as you can see, the case or the housing looks exactly the same as the one that is currently installed. I'm only showing this to you because in the UK, for some reason, if you want to buy this part on eBay, most of the parts are for left-hand drive cars, which is really bizarre. So all you have to do before you place the order and buy a part is to double check with the seller if the part you are buying is for the right-hand drive car. And to make sure you get the right one, I suggest sending them VIN number. Usually that's the number that they will use to confirm if the part is going to fit your car. Because if you don't do that and you go through all this hassle that I just went through, only to discover that you have the wrong part, you're going to have to put everything back together, return the part, and buy a new one, which is going to take you time. So, okay, how do we remove the whole fan assembly? So there are two things you need to do. First is to remove two plugs. You have to disconnect this plug here, and you want to remove this one here as well, so nothing stands in your way. And then you have 3 screws that you should remove. One here, and there are 2 more, one at the back here, and then there is one more which is at the back here. Right, I'm going to show you how to remove this plug here. There's one thing that you need to be aware of before you start pulling this away, and otherwise you're going to break the plug or rip off the wire. So in here you can see this little tab here. All you have to do is to press it using your screwdriver until you hear a click. There it is. Now when it clicked, you can remove the plug. So that's the idea. We have the screws removed, but to remove the assembly completely, you also have to remove this cover here. This is the cover that hides the pollen filter, or a cabin air filter, if you like. So there are 2 sliders here, one at the back here and one just here. You need to slide them both out to remove the air filter cover first and the air filter, so then you can take this assembly out. So we're just going to do exactly that right now. So if I do that, you can tell we have the pour inhibitor out, which by the way is the way to service the car as well. If you want to replace the cabin air filter, this is the way to do it. It's relatively simple, although you have to go through all the hassle of removing this massive panel from underneath the glove box. So this filter is out, and we'll just put it aside for the time being. And now we can remove this whole assembly out. Okay, there it is. So that's the old fan. I'm going to put old one next to the new one so you can see the difference. That's the old one, and that's the new one. So you can clearly see how corroded this one is. It's been exposed to water, humidity, dust, dirt, anything you like, and no wonder it's making funny noises now. So this is the new one, the fresh one. Now what you will notice straight away here is that they are not exactly the same. I mean, the fans are, but this one on the left, the old one, has this part here which this one does not have. So this is the electronics or the resistor part that comes with the fan. That regulates how the fan rotates. Now this part is perfectly fine. I checked that. If it wasn't, the fan wouldn't be rotating at all. So all it has to happen now is for us to remove this part here and put it back here with the new one. And to do that, it's quite simple. Again, 2 screws, 1, 2. Take it out. There's nothing else that comes with it, and then we're going to replace it, and we'll put it just here. So let me do exactly that right now. Right, so after removing both screws, we also managed to slide this part out. You can see that it's connected by 2 wires at the back of it to the fan. So the next step for us will be to remove this plug here to have it completely disassembled. So I'll do it right now. Again, I need 2 hands, so bear with me on this one. Okay, so we managed to get this part out. As you can see, we unplugged the resistor from the fan, so that's how it looks like from the back. Now bear in mind that there are 2 parts to it. You have the resistor here, and you have this plastic cover right here as well. So as I said earlier, we're going to transfer this resistor to the new fan over here. The new one comes with a new plastic frame here, so we don't need to use the old one. So first we have to do is to plug the new fan to the resistor, exactly the same way we did disassembled the resistor from the old fan, and then we're going to put the new cover on, which I believe goes that way, and then I'm going to put everything back together. Remember not to throw away both screws that you removed disassembling the fan, because you're going to need them. You're going to need them to transfer the resistor, right? The fan does not come with those screws, so do not lose them. Okay, so we transferred the resistor to the new fan. It's all now connected. What I would do, and what I will do here before I put everything together, I'm gonna connect the new fan to the wire that I previously disconnected, and I'm gonna safely power up the car, just give it some power to see if the fan actually works before we put everything together. So the plan now is just to connect this plug here to our fan here at the back, then put it gently on the floor here so the fan doesn't touch anything, and then turn on the car to see if the fan works. So let's do that. Okay, so the fan is now connected. I plugged it all in. As you can see, it's standing on its side, so the fan blades do not touch anything. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn the ignition on, but first I'm going to switch the fan completely off so it doesn't turn. I'm going to move turn the ignition halfway through just to get the power. And now coming back. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn on the fan and see if that works. So beautiful. Perfect. So now the fan works. So all it takes now is to put everything back together. Okay, so I started putting this back all together, and two things I want to show you before I complete this part is that once you put this whole assembly back in place, lined up with the holes and everything else, what I suggest you do, first of all, use, I don't know if you can see it here, at the back you have this where is it? It's here. You have this slider here, this one here. You want to use this slider here at the back of the assembly to secure the back of it first, so it doesn't fly around, doesn't hang too low. Once you do that, then the easiest thing to do is to attach this screw here, the one that is closest to you, because once you do that, you have this whole assembly secured in two places, and then you can put all the screws back in without a hassle. So first the slider at the back, which hopefully you can see here, right? So that's the first bit you're gonna do, and then you're gonna put this screw here to secure everything in place. And now I'm gonna proceed and put the rest of the screws in to secure it fully. Okay, so we have the fan assembly back in, all nicely secured. The next step is to put the pollen filter back into its place, and that sits just here. No screws involved. You have to slide it back in, and there are two sliders, one just in the back here. Maybe it's gonna focus, maybe not. Okay, so that's the slider I'm talking about, the one in the back, and then there's one more here, which is used for both the pollen filter housing and the fan housing. So you're gonna slide it halfway through towards the right to still keep the fan assembly secured, but also to keep the pollen filter assembly in place. So we're gonna do exactly that right now. Okay, so we have everything back together now. We have the fan assembly, we have the pollen filter assembly back in. So all it takes now is to put back this panel underneath that we previously removed. Once again, two things: we need to plug this back into the back of the 12-volt socket, and then we have to slide everything back in where it was before. So that's really the plan. Just remember that this hook here needs to get secured underneath here. So when you'll be sliding this panel back in, move the back of it first upwards to get connection and engagement between this hook here and, I believe, this here, right? So that's the plan. Okay, the panel is back in, socket connected. Remember that this corner has to click in, right? Just here. And now we have 3 screws that will be holding this panel up. So once we put it back up, we're going to just put them exactly where they were. 1, 2, and there's a third one here. Okay, with the panel secured, we can put the carpet back where it used to be. got the job done. I'm gonna turn the car on in a second just to listen to how the new fan sounds inside the cabin and to confirm that everything went well. So see you in a bit. Okay, back in the cabin. Let's switch the fan completely off. Let's turn the ignition on. That's that. And let's listen to the new fan. Beautiful. No rattling, no squeaking, no noise, just the fan. Perfect. Hopefully guys you find it useful. If you have any questions, drop me a line in the comments below and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.